Hi everyone, it's Scott with Mountain View 3D, and I am here to show you how easy it is to start a TinkerCad account and start tinkering. If you haven't heard of TinkerCad, TinkerCad is one of the easiest ways to get started with 3D modeling. A lot of educators use it, and it's developed by the Autodesk company, which if you know anything about 3D printing or 3D modeling or drafting or anything like that, they are the industry standard company that makes Fusion 360, which is a higher end piece of software that we also use, and I'll also do some further videos on. But this is a simplified version that is great for kids, great for learning, great for anybody who is just getting started with modeling and you want to play with it in sort of a sandboxy type space. It does a lot more than just CAD, but that's what we're going to be focusing on right away. So to get started, you will want to go to tinkercad.com. I will leave a link in the description, and this is what the page will look like. There's some videos that are good to watch. There's a lot of information on what they do with TinkerCad and what TinkerCad is about. But what you can do is come up here and go to sign up. When you click sign up, there's the educators and the students. There's all about classes. You may do these things in school if you're taking a class or doing some 3D printing in your school or in a library. But for this, we're going to create a personal account. So create a personal account. You're welcome to use your Apple ID or your Google ID, but we're going to sign up with an email for this. Okay, once you are all signed in to your TinkerCad account, you will see right here where all of your designs will be. You can do 3D designs, you can do electrical circuits, there's code blocking, there is all kinds of awesome stuff in TinkerCad to play with. But your first place to stop is here on Create. So we're going to create a 3D design, which brings us into the 3D design environment. Now, there's going to be lots and lots of tools all around, but the most important thing to remember is how to navigate in the environment here. If you use your left mouse button, you can see that you'll draw a lasso around items. So if you've got objects in your plane, that's how you can select multiple objects at once. Your right click and move your mouse around will orbit your work around the work plane. So you can see how I can move the work plane left and right and up and down depending on which direction I move my mouse. That's with me holding the right mouse button. Over here in our toolbox, you'll see some basic shapes. So we've got cubes and cylinders, spheres, a squiggle. That's the just a scribble tool that you can make scribbles. And then there's an actual sketch tool, which we'll cover in further videos. Lots and lots of different shapes here, and you can even click more shapes, which will show you even more. And then where it says basic shapes, you can create shapes and save them. You can favorite shapes that you find. There are letters and numbers. A, B, C, more shapes, tons of stuff that you can choose from. So in these various categories, all you have to do is click on a shape and drag it into your design. And when you release it, here it is. I'm going to use my right mouse button to orbit around my cube a little bit so I can see the various parts of it. I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom in, and then I can use the button on the mouse wheel to pan around. Now you see these handles in the corners. If you click and drag, you're able to resize the object. Now, depending on which handle you use will determine in which direction the shape moves. So you can make it taller, shorter, or expand any of the corners. The other thing you can do once you've selected a node, these are called nodes, is you can type in a value. So if you know you needed this to be 20 millimeters in that direction and 20 millimeters in that direction, then you can make it exactly 20 millimeters in those two directions. The same as if you needed to make it exactly 10 millimeters, let's make it a perfect cube. So it's now 20 by 20 by 20 millimeters. And I can use my right mouse button and orbit around my cube. All right, so now that we've got our cube here, we will add another shape to it. Let's give ourselves, these look different, don't they? I wonder what they do. These are called negative shapes. You can turn any shape into a negative shape by turning it into a hole here. So this one, you'll notice, is already set to a hole. If we make it solid, it turns into a solid shape. But if it stays a hole, and we make it a little bit smaller, we're going to slide it over into our cube here. And now, using my lasso, like I showed earlier, I select both of the shapes, and now I'm going to group them together. So this little button right here is a group button. You can see you can also use a keyboard shortcut of Control G. What that does is it turns the two shapes into one shape. So our negative cylinder put a hole right through the middle of our cube. So as you're exploring through TinkerCad, you'll notice it makes up some crazy named things for you. So you can rename your project as you see fit. Other things useful up here is an undo button. So Control Z will undo any of the things that you have done so that you can go back as far as you need to in your design. Some other things of note, let's say we wanted to put some text right on the top of this. You can use this button, the work plane tool, to assign your work plane to the top of the box. So now you'll see that instead of the original work plane being active, this work plane that I just placed is active. So now any shape that I pull out will just land right on top there. So here we'll say, oops. Size it down a little bit so it'll fit. See, I'm using my handles and I'm using my pan and my tilt tools to make it so that I can see the various nodes I need to get to, because as you look at it differently, you see the nodes change in the way that you can see them. All right. To make it go back, you use your work plane tool again and click anywhere off of your work, and it'll bring you back to normal. Well, that's my crash course in TinkerCad. If you've got more questions or you want to see some advanced features, some more complex modeling, maybe modeling with a purpose, be sure to check out our Patreon. I'm going to have the hobbyist tier version of this video done, I would expect, before the end of this week, and a more advanced video to come on modeling. We may dip into some Fusion 360 for that. Thank you very much for watching.